Hey guys, so we've done 2 days of multiplication, so what do you think is going to happen next? That's right, division. So as you know, division is the inverse operation of multiplication. So just keep that in mind because we're going to kind of apply that thinking here. For example, right here we have, it says simplify this expression. How would you simplify that expression? That's right, you would use distributive property. You would take the 4 and you'd multiply it times the 3x and you'd get 12x. You would take the 4 and you'd multiply it by the -5 and you would get a -20. Well, what we're going to do today is kind of like doing the distributive property backwards. All right. It's not that bad today. All right. It's going to be pretty easy. So let's get going with it. So we have two different ways you might see a problem set up. And number one and number two are examples of one way. So looking at that, I'm just going to go ahead and write it in a distributive manner. I'm going to expand that out, and I'm going to put the 2 underneath both, and I'm just going to work out each separately. So 2 divided by 2 here is x. 8 divided by 2 is 4, and that is my answer. And if I worked it back the other way, if I took my answer and I took what I divided by and I worked it out, you could see I would be doing distributive property, and you can see that I end up with the same answer. So you can always check your work also. Next one, I'm going to go ahead and write the 35 underneath both terms in this binomial. So the 35s here are going to cancel out, and 35 goes into 144 times, and we're done. Now this one is already written in a fraction form, but we're going to expand it to make it a little bit easier for our brains to look at. So I'm going to write 16m over 4, and I'm going to write 28 over 4. Yes, you can do that. So 16 divided by 4 is 4. The m, it just stays by itself. 28 divided by 4 is 7, and I am done. So easy. Let's do the next one. 9q over a -3, -15 over a -3. Got to be remembering those negatives. So the first one ends up being a -3q, and the second one ends up being a +5, because a negative divided by negative is a positive. All right, do you remember long division? Do you remember how you would do long division? You would take the numerator, you'd put it in the box, call it top in the box. And then we would say, okay, 24 goes into 2 0 times, 24 goes into 29, and I'd put the 1 right underneath the 29. And then I'd go 1 times 24. Do you remember that? 1 times 24, and then you would subtract. Then you'd bring everything else down, or the next number down, and then you would ask the same question. 24 goes into 57, and you'd say, twice. How about twice? You'd put that up there, and then you'd say 24 times 2. And then that'd be 48. Subtract. You'd bring down the next one. And then you'd ask the question again, how many times does 24 go into 96? And you'd say 4. 4 times 24 is 96. I had to tell you that because we're going to do that with binomials. Okay, so let's get moving with that. You're going to do great. So just remember all what we just did there. Okay, so again, I'm going to put the 48y plus 18, and then I'm going to put the divisor on the outside. So the important thing to remember is you just look at the leading term. The leading term is 8y, and you ask how many times that leading term goes into the leading term that's inside the box. So 8y goes into 48y how many times? 6 times. 6 times. So I'm going to put a 6 right here. Now, do you notice how I skipped over the 48y? I put it over the 18 because they are like terms. All right? So again, I'm going to go back. 6 times 8y is 48y. 6 times 3 is 18. I'm going to subtract. And again, remember the whole thing about everything changes. This becomes negative 48. This becomes negative 18. So this is going to zero itself out. So my answer is 6. Let's do the next one. All right, 36w minus 12. That goes in the box. 9w minus 3. Okay, now don't look at the whole thing. Just look at the two leading terms, the 9w and the 36w. That's all you need to look at. So 9w goes into 36w how many times? 4 times. I don't know why that's not writing. 4 times. Okay, so I'm going to put the 4 over the like term, which is the 12. And we go back. 4 times 9w is 36w. 4 times negative 3 is negative 12. And then I have to subtract. But when I subtract, it changes all the signs, which in this case, it zeroes itself out. So the answer is 4. These are we're dividing without remainders. We'll do remainders tomorrow. All right, next one. 28c minus 56 negative 4c plus 8. All right, we only look at the leading terms to decide how many times it goes into it. So negative 4 goes into a 28c negative 7 times. Now, did you catch that? Because the 28 is positive. So it's a negative times a negative is a positive. So don't miss that. So I'm going to put a negative 7 over the 56 because those are like terms. And then I multiplied. Negative 7 times negative 4 is a positive 28c. Negative 7 times a positive 8 is a negative 56. Now when I subtract all of this, it changes all the signs and it zeroed itself out. So my answer is the negative 7. Easy peasy. Good luck. Ask questions if you need to, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.